Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
Hey, what's up, Lock Shoppers? Let's do this. Welcome to the program. A little Thursday afternoon banger. Big slate of games in the National Hockey League tonight. After our crazy Tuesday, we're going to be hitting the big slate, putting together a partner parlay, and who knows what else. And, of course, we got a massive Thursday nighter tonight in the NFC West. Niners hosting the LA Rams. We'll touch on that and take a look ahead to Week 15 in the NFL as well. Dusty, I think, is going to join us a little later on in the program. Huss with you here. And, of course, our pal JBM, Jake Bolin Moss. Jakey, what's up?
Not too much. Huss, I was just listening to the EST Christmas draft. Dusty was on there. He was actually writing in his picks. He had a bit of a sore throat this morning on the show, on the Nielson show. So he's been battling that a bit. He's heading home now after the draft, and he's going to jump on here soon. But I was listening to that draft, Huss, and I got to tell you, I think once I get a look at the board, I think I could come up with a pretty good competitive fifth chair against some of the picks that were on there. There was
the UDFAs. Some
of the boys went a little off the board. It was a good time. They had a lot of good laughs, but I think there was a few picks that got missed there. I don't remember hearing Christmas song "Baby It's Cold Outside." That's a banger. I don't remember hearing Fred Claus. They did have Christmas food on there. My sister last night made Christmas crack. I don't know if you ever had that, Huss. Oh, my goodness, it is delicious. So a few things I think I could squeeze in and get a competitive fifth chair if it was possible.
I'm not familiar with Christmas crack, but I saw enough of the real thing on the streets of Vancouver at the Grey Cup. So I'll maybe pass on that. Listen, I will just remind everyone on Edmonton Sports Talk right now, it is not surprising that yours truly, the godfather of the drafts, was eliminated and not invited for the Christmas draft because you all remember the first ever non-Edmonton winner of a Nielsen Show draft was maybe the biggest upset in draft history when I rolled into the Nielsen Show 2 years ago, being a guy that does not watch movies, and through my incredible draft research, pulled off the upset of the century and won the Christmas movie draft with Dusty and the gang. So anyways, always loved the drafts. And yes, I know Surveyor Brett said Dusty's getting ready for another month off, fellas. I don't think that is the case.
No, he said he was actually feeling pretty energized. He said just the throat was bothering him a bit, but a few teas, a few lozenges, he'll be all right.
Yeah, once you get, listen, when and I don't say this from personal experience, but enough friends, once you get the kids in school, and it's just one big cesspool. You got to keep that immune system up, fellas, because you're going to be getting hit with it from every which way. We've got a lot to get to. We will get to the NHL slate in a minute, and then we'll sort of dive in on the Thursday nighter. But Jake, I guess I haven't talked to you this week. We have such an awesome slate of games this week. I would say I wouldn't mind maybe one of the awesome games at 3:25 being moved into the 1 o'clock slate. Mm-hmm. Like the 1 o'clock slate is busy, and this is great. There's no buys. We've got an awesome Thursday nighter, but with the exception of, obviously the Chiefs, are the Chiefs. They got to take on they're taking on the Browns, and that's an important game for the number 1 seed. The Dallas-Carolina game means absolutely nothing. The Miami-Houston game actually is significant. Houston, obviously, at the top of the AFC South. Miami trying to put together a string of wins to get them back into potentially a wild card spot. Jets-Jags is a definite pass. Commanders taking on the Saints. Washington needs to win to keep their hold on that wild card. And is the 16 right now that the Ravens are laying, is that the biggest spread we've seen in the NFL season this year?
I think so. I mean, I don't remember one of that caliber. What did we have last week? A 14, right, with the Panthers, who I was on, by the way. They almost won outright,
Yes.
which would have been pretty crazy. But I think 16's got to be the biggest number we've seen. I don't remember one that high this season.
And then we've got Bengals, Titans. Again, two teams going nowhere. And Patriots, Cardinals. Although that's the late slate. The late slate is so packed. I mean, a big game for Arizona. You've got Indy, Denver, which is significant. Indy trying to catch either Houston or Denver, San Diego, or Denver Chargers for a wild card spot. I can't wait. This Bucks Chargers game, I think, is going to be awesome. Steelers, Eagles will be great. And the game that I've had this one circled on the calendar for over a month, the Bills and the Lions. And then we've got an awesome Sunday nighter, Jake, with the Steelers and the Seahawks and the Packers. And listen, not a great matchup on Monday, but at least we've got two of them. Obviously, that Vikings game home to the Bears will be the main event, and some people will be paying attention to Atlanta and LV. How about that game that I got to see last week? Sammy Darts. Like, of all the games, and I've been to a few games at US Bank Stadium and a ton of Viking games over the years, that might have been the most fun. And the funny thing is, you look at the game and you look at the final score and say, oh, well, they just smoked them. They killed them. I mean, that game at the end of the third quarter was 21-all. It was very much in doubt. And then Darnold just went absolutely off in the fourth quarter. But, it's amazing. I went out there with a friend of mine, Johnny Viking, who is he's a psycho Vikings fan. And he says to me on the drive, completely serious, says, Huss, if Sam Darnold wins the Super Bowl, they have to re-sign him, right? I said, well, yes, John, yes. If they do win the Super Bowl, they have to re-sign him. But it was sort of a funny, just because we just assumed that this was a one-year thing, and then it's J.J. McCarthy moving forward. But I was looking on shout out if you're a Vikings fan, you can check this out online. Purple Insider, Matthew Collar does an awesome job of covering the Vikings. He had the Kevin Seifert on last night from ESPN, and I was watching it. And they're not waiting even for the playoffs right now. The question is there a path for Sam Darnold to be back next year as a Minnesota Viking? And I guess the Vikings have a couple of options. I mean, they could simply just put the franchise tag and eat a massive one-year salary, and that could be a possibility. I guess depending on what Darnold would be willing to stay for, you could talk about some sort of a contract. The thing with Sam is that he's playing so well, he's putting himself into a situation where there's probably a team that will give him like a Kirk Cousins like contract for next year with a few years, 9 figures in it, and a whole lot of money. But I think there still is question as to whether J.J. McCarthy is going to even be fully ready for next year. Not to mention, how is this year off rehabbing? How much has he progressed? They're using like some VR helmet for him with a camera on Darnold's helmet in practice, so he can sort of kind of be as if he's there. The Darnold stories to me is one of the great ones. And in the fourth quarter, US Bank Stadium was chanting MVP. Now, I think Josh Allen's probably going to be the MVP, but the Darnold story and what the Vikings have done has sort of kind of been a little bit under the radar, I think, until they exploded last week. And now you're hearing a lot more conversation about the incredible season that Sammy Darts is having and what his future might be potentially in the Twin Cities, even with J.J. McCarthy coming back.
Yeah, I mean, you've been on it since the jump, Huss. Like, the Vikings have really not taken their foot off the gas. As the small little losing streak, but besides that, have been pretty much perfect. Darnold's only 27 years old, Huss. Like, he's got a lot of playing time ahead of him. I don't know if it's necessarily going to be with the Vikings, but, you look at a guy like Baker who, he was in Cleveland, went to Carolina. It didn't really look like it was going to work out for him. And then he went to the Rams and had that nice little stint with McVay. Yeah. Got a deal in Tampa Bay for a year and then signed an extension. I think he got, 3 years on top of that? So
yeah, three for 100.
And they're doing pretty pretty well themselves. Like they've worked their way back into the lead in that division with the Falcons falling off. So, if you're looking at kind of that model where Darnold, another guy that was in Carolina, the Jets, it didn't really work out. If he can get in a stable organization, whether it's the Vikings or somewhere else, like, the sky's the limit. Like they're 11-2, Huss. Like, you can't apologize for wins. We talk about it all the time with the Chiefs. Like, yeah, it hasn't been a pretty season in terms of how they win football games. But when you win football games, like, there's not a lot to argue. Oh, you're muted, Huss.
Sorry, while we're having this conversation, let's I just realized this is Thursday, so we're going into the games. All the futures are up right now. Let's do a little Lock Shop futures update, folks. Super Bowl winner, Dusty's Lions. The odds are that we will have the Lock Shop Bowl right now.
That's crazy.
Detroit plus 275, Kansas City plus 450, the Eagles 5-1.
Huss, you know what it might be time for?
A trip to New Orleans?
Yes. Lock Shop Bowl exclusive. Chiefs to win the AFC, Detroit to win the NFC. We'll put it up in the combos, and it'll just, every time the NFC and AFC winners come up, it'll just recreate itself right there. And if you want to jump on the Lock Shop Bowl for the Super Bowl, it'll be right there. I can get that up this afternoon.
I love it. Right now, the conference winner numbers, the Lions are plus 130, which is a short number, but it just speaks to how good that team has been all year. Plus 130 for the Lions, and the Chiefs are 2-1. The Chiefs, it's a pretty small gap between the Chiefs and the Bills. Bills at plus 230, Chiefs at plus 200. But yes, let's do that. let's get on that. It seems like it's a collision course. So your Super Bowl winners right now: Detroit plus 275, Chiefs plus 450, Eagles 5-1, Bills 6-1. Ravens 10-1, Minnesota Vikings 15-1, Packers and Steelers 20, Texans 35, Chargers 40. Other teams that still have a number on them that are alive: the Broncos, Buccaneers, Seahawks are 50-1, the Rams are 60-1, Commanders 75, and the Niners are 80. And then I guess of the teams that are still technically alive: Falcons 100, Dolphins, Cardinals 150-1, and the Colts are plus 250. Bengals 300-1. By the way, tough Monday night for Joe Burrow. You hear his house got broken into?
I did see that, Us. I did see. Who reported it? You see who reported it?
Oh, I saw who reported it. And you know what the crazy thing is, not to go full TMZ, but Joe yesterday was obviously pissed about his house getting broken into. The fact that Olivia, whatever her name is, the SI swimsuit model that was at his home and called it in, that was sort of outed because I don't think that was out there. But the funny thing is that I had actually, just out of curiosity, done a little Google search wondering what Joe Burrow's girlfriend status was before. And I guess he'd had a long-term relationship with the girl I guess he was with from LSU, also named Olivia.
Okay.
So that caused quite a bit of a stir and commotion. Now, he hasn't commented on that, but he did say when he started his press conference yesterday, he just wanted to say something. He said, I've been violated. I feel my privacy has been breached in a number of ways. So anyways, Joe's a hot commodity. It's brutal that these athletes, they're going to need to do something about this particular security, because I think this ring knows, hey, these guys are going to be gone. Their houses are going to be there. They know that they're in these other cities, and I'm taking advantage of it. But Joe's doing okay. Despite the Bengals and where they're at, he's doing okay.
Well, you hear he just bought that Batmobile too, the $3 million new Batmobile, the Batmobile from the Christopher Nolan movies. Like, this guy is he's a different cat, man. He's a different type of guy, but It's been a hell of a year for him. It's unfortunate the Bengals record doesn't reflect that. And, we talked about it. Like, he might be an MVP guy if we're not sitting here with how bad the Bengals have been record-wise. But, yeah.
Look at this. Look at this. He's leading the league in passing yards of 3,706. So he's got 225 yards on Geno Smith. Funny that you look at the top 5 quarterbacks, and it's Joe Burrow, Geno Smith, Kirk Cousins, Baker Mayfield, Matthew Stafford. Darnold is 6th, Lamar 7th. Like, you got to go all the way down to 11 to get Josh Allen. Like, Allen actually has less passing yards than Mahomes and CJ Stroud, which is a little surprising. It's where Burrow's numbers are just insane, or the touchdown to interception ratio, 33 TDs, 6 picks. Lamar,
if they're battling for the division right now, he's the lead MVP favorite, right?
Yeah.
Even Josh, probably, right?
Yeah, I would say. He's
got 300 more yards than the next guy passing. And like you said, 33 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. Like, just insane.
The Darnold year's been nuts too. 28 TDs, 10 picks. He's got a passer rating of 108, which is better than Burrow, better than anyone ahead of them. I mean, the best passer ratings in the league. Lamar is at plus 116. And then where's Josh Allen? Josh Allen's at 101.9. He's just doing so much more rushing. As far as the MVP goes, though, Josh Allen is a massive favorite. He is minus 435 to win it. And the number 2 guy on the board is actually not a quarterback. It's Saquon Barkley, who is at 6-1 on the verge of potentially setting the single season rushing record. Lamar is in there at 9-1. Goff is 15-1. Mahomes is 35-1. Sammy Dart's 50-1. And then Jordan Love and Jalen Hurts, both 100-1. At minus 435, I don't think there's going to be a lot of people jumping on Josh Allen, but it certainly does seem, and the numbers will tell us this, Jake, that it is Josh Allen's award to lose.
Yeah, it's interesting, Huss, because I saw some kid yesterday on my Instagram feed. He kind of put up the side-by-sides of the Lamar's and Josh's numbers, and they really weren't substantially different. And you think about their head-to-head. Lamar, like in the Ravens, kind of took care of the Bills. There are a few games you think about with the Bills where you're like, what happened in that game? Like, why? Like, even last week, like, they couldn't get a stop for their lives. They couldn't stop a nosebleed against the Rams. Just one of those, like, a few of those weird games where you're just like, yeah, Josh has played MVP caliber football, and, Lamar's won a couple MVPs here, and, there's that voter fatigue that kind of draws in. But I think there's very much, I know the odds don't show it, but I think there's very much a case for a couple of these other guys in terms of, Lamar, Saquon, the year he's had as a running back here on a new team. And, it's an interesting time. I think it makes sense to me, the odds, but at the same time, I wouldn't be shy at just a sprinkle maybe on Lamar, just to see kind of what happens here. Because if they lose again to the Lions, right, they haven't really it seems like those big games are the ones they've been struggling in, right? The Chiefs game was huge, right? They beat the Chiefs, took them away from being undefeated. They lost that Ravens game, which, people had some questions about. I'm trying to remember what other losses the Bills had. I don't know if you have it off the top of your head.
They've only got the 3. Let me just see. They lost to the Ravens early on. Where are the Bills here? Here we are. Yeah, they lost to the Ravens. They lost to the Texans.
And then the Rams. Yeah, that was the other one, the Texans.
Yeah, they had those 2 back-to-backs. And the Ravens was the one where they really got smoked. That was 35-10. That game wasn't even close. We're in Montreal when that game is. And then, they ran off the 7 straight wins. Big loss last week, though, when it came to the 1 seed. Because they did have the tiebreaker and still do have the tiebreaker with the Chiefs that they finished the same. But the Chiefs got the doink for the division. Bills lose. So they've got a little bit of cushion. Some of the other futures. Well, here we're going to talk about the Rams in a minute, but you see what the Rams did offensively last week. And I think back to last year, how close they were in the playoffs and how McVay coaches up his team and gets the best out of them. Are the Rams at 30-1 an insane pick for the NFC? Like it's such a big number. I think that there is much more than just a non-zero chance that the Rams could be that team that gets in the 6th seed and goes on a bit of a run.
I don't think it's an insane thing. They're 7-6. They have 3 divisional games down the stretch. They're going to play the San Francisco 49ers tonight. I'd say it's a must-win. They'll get the Jets next week, which should be a win. And then you get the Cardinals and Seattle both at home to finish the season. So, if you can run the table, get to 11-6. I always forget with that 17th game. So you get to 11-6. That can probably win your division if you're the Rams, and then you get a home field game if you win the division, right? Like where are the Seattle Seahawks at right now in that division? Just want to take a look here.
Seahawks are 8-5. They've got a 1-game lead. They have
right. That's not crazy.
No, and listen, they could be tied at the best case scenario for football fans. Is the Rams winning this game, the Cardinals beating the Patriots, and the Packers beating the Seahawks, and then you've got 3 teams at 8-6 tied for the lead with head-to-head games against each other going down the stretch.
Well, Cardinals will actually be 7-7. They're 6-7 right now. So they'd go to 7-7,
right.
but 2 8-6 at the top there, like you said. And then the Rams win this week, and the Seahawks lose. And the Rams control their own destiny.
Yeah, they absolutely
They'll play the Seahawks in the last week. I don't think it's crazy, us. 30-1 is a pretty nice number for a team that could win their division, get a home game. And you saw what that offense can do last week. They can score with anybody. Puka Nacua is an incredible player. Cooper Kupp and Stafford still have that great connection. I think the EST random wheel this morning, the Nielsen show, spun Demarcus Robinson for an anytime touchdown. He's been a nice piece. Tutu Atwell. Like, you think about that offense, Kyron Williams, ton of really nice names that have, that when they're clicking, it's tough to stop. It's just a matter of, can they stay healthy for these final 4 games, get into the playoffs, and where anything can really happen.
A couple other interesting futures that are up right now at Coolbet. Coach of the Year, Dan Campbell, -160. KOC, Kevin O'Connell of the Vikings, 3-1. Mike Tomlin, 6-1. To me, it's one of those 3 guys. Mm-hmm. Dan Quinn is 15-1. Peyton, 20-1, along with Mike McDonald. And Andy Reid and Jim Harbaugh at 25-1. We were just talking about the NFC West. The odds for the NFC West are up right now. Seahawks are even money. The Rams are +155. Arizona 7-1, and the Niners are 10-1. How about this? Okay, here's something. Joe Burrow is the favorite for the comeback player of the year. And I guess that makes sense. He missed last year. He's -250. DeMar Hamlin is 10-1. Everyone thought that he was going to win it last year, but he
Flacco.
Yeah, Kyler Murray at 10-1. Anthony Richardson at 10-1. How do we ignore Sam Darnold at 15-1 for this?
It's a great point, Huss. Like, that seems like a long number for somebody who's come back and played, we're talking about nearly MVP caliber football in an 11-2 football team.
And again, the definition of comeback player of the year is a little foggy. Like, is it a guy that had a brutal injury that came back? Because if that's the case, that would be Joe Burrow.
But Flacco didn't have a brutal injury. He just happened to come back. Right? Like,
yes.
He just happened to come back and play for the Browns.
I'm gonna put a little sprinkle on Sammy Darts at 15-1 just to support our guy. as he goes in. TJ Watt's the favorite defensive player of the year at -250. Patrick Surtain, 8-1. Xavier McKinney, 15. And then Will Anderson and Myles Garrett at 20-1. The regular season worst record is interesting. The Giants are at -145, and the Raiders are 3-1. It's seemingly a two-horse race right now. 10-1 on the Patriots, 13 on Cleveland, 15 on the Panthers, 20 on the Titans, 25 on the Jags, and 30-1 on the New York Jets. Kind of hope it's the Raiders. They'll get the number 1 overall pick and get Shadur Sanders, and the whole Dion circus will be in Vegas. It seems like that's what all parties there want to happen.
Yeah, listen, I'm a Pats fan. They're kind of in a sweet spot right now with the Raiders and Giants, the only 2 teams ahead of them. Both those teams, in my opinion, need quarterbacks, which could set up for a Travis Hunter drop to the Patriots, and you get the ultimate utility guy. We've seen incredible stuff from him in college this year. He's probably going to win the Heisman Trophy based on kind of how the odds shifted late there in the season. And you get a Heisman Trophy guy who can play both sides of the football. I don't know if he'll necessarily play him like he's playing in college, but you need an impact guy to go alongside Christian Gonzalez on the back end. That'd be great. You need a guy who can catch balls from Drake May. Would also be great. You can kind of use him however you see fit. So, I'd love to see Travis Hunter on the Patriots and kind of build towards the next thing they got to work on is that damn offensive line. Can't protect May for nothing.
One other thing, and you know what? I was asking for this, and Evdog and the guys throw this out. This is the to make the playoffs odds on the teams that are sort of in the mix but not clinched. So the Commanders are -556. They've got 8 wins. 10 gets them in. I was just looking at their schedule here. They're at the Saints this week. Then they're home to the Eagles, tough game. Home to the Falcons, and at the Cowboys. So 556, very likely to be in. To miss the playoffs is 4-1, though. If you're thinking that we might see that collapse. Tampa with their lead in the South, they're at -333. The no is +265 there.
I got them +280 a few weeks ago when that schedule started to lighten up.
Yes, you did. Well, I mean, you looked at just how well they played on that 4-game losing streak. I mean, they were playing the Niners and the Chiefs. I mean, the best teams in the league, and they were so close. They were getting overtime. They were losing by a field goal. I mean, the big thing is they lost that game to Atlanta. I mean, if that game to Atlanta flips and they're 1-1 against each other, this division is over. The Broncos are -250 to make the playoffs, +200 to the no. The Seahawks are -152 to make the playoffs, +125 to no. The Rams are sitting there at +145.
I think this is the night to take them, Huss. If they're going to win tonight, that number is going to change, right?
Oh,
they win tonight, they get to 8-6, and they're right on the Seahawks' tail. I think if you're ever going to take the Rams to make the playoffs and you haven't done it yet, this is the night, +145 before that game kicks off.
Yeah, and I mean, I think I would bet the Rams to make the playoffs at +145 as opposed to taking them to win the West at +155. It just includes the possibility. Like, listen, this Washington team is young. I think they've sort of come back to the pack after that great start. Atlanta could very well be desperately needing a win. Philly's going to keep on trying to win. And there's a lot on Jaden Daniels. So, I mean, for just going down 10 points and opening up that wild card possibility as well, even though 2 of them are pretty much taken up right now already by the Packers and the Lions, I think it makes some sense. The other teams at plus money, the Falcons at +160. I am not in on the Falcons and won't be touching that. Indy at +230. The Miami Dolphins at 4-1. At Arizona +550. And is there? Oh, and that's it. And that's basically the list of teams. So I don't know. I'm with you. I think the Rams to make the playoffs at +145 is the one that we'll be looking at. It's funny. The defensive rookie for the year number is really tightened up. Jared Verse at one point was -400. He's now just -120.
You know what happened? Quinion Mitchell started to get some social media hype. Like, you could really see his star begin to climb. And I think that's what's kind of shifted these odds. Like, it's crazy what social media can do for a guy.
It's so true.
And you just see some of the stats coming out of the top receivers he's been covering this season. You know, he's made quite the case. I think Jared Verse has been incredible for the Rams, but Quinion Mitchell for the Eagles has been the drafting this year from the Eagles has been so impressive. I know they got some stuff going on with the offense. A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts might not be getting along, but the defense there has really picked it up, and, you know, they're kind of the reason they're in the spot they are as it stands right now.
The funny thing about them, what?
It's a crazy kickback from Dusty. Who
Almost Dusty.
Ready to.
There we go. There we go.
There
All right. Sounds like the big guy has entered the chat. We'll bring him in here in a minute. Just to wrap up that, like, Verse has a primetime game tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of those opportunities where, like, the primetime games seemingly are worth 5 or 6 times as much as regular games because everyone gets a chance to see you. So if you're high on Verse, I would get that number before tonight's game, kind of similar to all of these Rams props, if you like the Rams to win tonight and to get that done. So, but yeah, pretty much a 2-horse race. Quinion Mitchell, Eagles. It's funny you mentioned how great the Eagles have been for drafting, and they are. Everything except wide receivers. Like, I still think I'm at that Viking game on Sunday, and I started laughing thinking that the Eagles took Jalen Reagor before Justin Jefferson. I mean, same position, 2 picks earlier. And there's a video of the Vikings in the room.
A great video.
They show when they pick them, and they just start laughing because they know
they're shocked. They're like, "Oh my god! Like, he's still like Justin Jefferson's still available." Yeah, it was a great, great pick. It's been a bit of a struggle, but that's a nice thing about receivers. You can bring a guy in. A.J. Brown has been a really, really nice piece for him. And they did draft Devonta Smith, who won a Heisman Trophy with Alabama. If he could stay healthy, like, I loved him in college. I just feel like one of those guys that, could have monster years if he can just stay healthy throughout the season. So, yeah, we'll see what happens with the Eagles. I none of us really love the Eagles, but they've been making us kind of eat our lunch this season, to say the least.
Let's see if the big guy is with us. We're hearing a lot from there.
Hello.
There he is.
How are you?
What is up with this microphone that you got? Like, we can hear you move the paper. Feels like just on the desk sounds like it's like a truck or something like that. Yeah.
Oh, wait a sec. Maybe I have. Wait a second here. Hang on.
Yeah, that's
the
right.
one.
Hang on.
At one point, it sounded like a foil, like you were like mixing up foil, and right when you jumped on.
Sausage McMuffin wrapper.
There he is.
There we go. The mic is in effect.
Yeah. Sorry, boys.
What's the
had
status?
the wrong mic selected. Classic mix-up.
It's okay.
What? How is your status? How are you feeling?
I feel like energy-wise, I feel fine. I feel great. It's just like I've been stuffed up for like 2 days, and now the voice is just like, "Hush, you gotta go back and see the show this morning." Like I was grinding it out. Like it was not good. So Mighty Iwanik's going to do 2 guys for me. So this will be the end of my talking for today. And I'll just shut up the rest of the day and drink tea. I got this throat coat tea. You ever seen that throat coat? It's like meant to soothe, like protect your throat.
Coat? I thought you said something else.
No, it's called throat coat tea. And I'm going to be hopping on that big time. So, yeah.
Well, listen, before we lose your voice, we've just been kicking around a bunch of our favorite futures, which are all up right now.
Yeah.
Let's get to this evening's game. Where are you at? Niners and Rams tonight. The updated line.
It's moved.
Rams, even money at plus 2.5. The Niners are minus 118 on minus 2.5. If you do want to hit it at 3, it's plus money for the Niners, minus 3 at plus 103. The Rams plus 3 is minus 122. Where are you at there, Dusty?
Well, I think what I'm doing for sure is I'm moving it to 3 if I'm on like for the Rams, because what was it, minus 122. So That's still a pretty decent number if you do like the Rams at 3. And I do. I mean, you guys know I'm a Stafford stan. They have won, whether they won six of their last 8. Their only losses were to Philadelphia and Miami. Outside of that, they beat Vegas, they beat Minnesota, they beat Seattle, they beat New England, they beat the Saints, and then obviously they outgunned the Bills last week. So, I mean, the Rams have, since mid-October, the Rams have been a really good football team. And I mean, Stafford, when he has his weapons, still can sling it, I think, with most quarterbacks in the league. And they've got a good running game as well. So, I like the Rams +3 on this one. I don't know where I come out on the total. Haven't really dove into that too much yet. But I'm going to take the Rams plus the points. Obviously, a huge game for both teams. And I know the Niners pretty much have to have it, but I still think the Rams are going to get it done here.
Total for the game's 48.5. And Jake, I was just digging in. If we recall, this loss, like earlier on in the year when these teams played at SoFi, that was a double-digit lead for the for the Niners in the fourth quarter. And the Rams came back, tied it, and then won it, I believe, in overtime, or did they win at the gun? It was they won 27-24.
Looks like they did win at the gun, Huss.
It was at the gun, okay. And I mean, that was just a stunning win.
In the fourth quarter for the Rams to win the football game.
Yeah, so they have already beat the 49ers right now this season. Historically, Shanahan has sort of owned McVay, though. I will say that. I mean, if you go back to, sort of the body of work over the last 6-7 seasons, I think the Niners have only lost about 3 games, but a couple more recently. Obviously, you've got no McCaffrey or no Mason. Kittle's in is looking good. Brock Purdy's going to be playing. Jawan Jennings. Dusty and I were talking yesterday about Deebo Samuel.
Yeah,
Jake,
Deebo's dead to me.
It's like he's still suffering from the pneumonia or whatever. I mean, like, and maybe that is the case. But man, I mean, offensively, it's the Rams that are rolling. Looking like the 2019 Chiefs or something like that.
I am feeling a little fishy about this one, guys, because, you look at the injuries on the 49er side. I know Kittle's back. I know that's a huge part of their offense, but, they're down their number 1 running back in McCaffrey. They're down the number 2 running back in Mason. Their number 3 running back in Garendo is questionable. Like, where does the run game come from tonight? Are we going to look to a guy like Deebo to maybe get involved in the run game a bit more? Remember a couple years ago how involved he was as a running back? It almost like when they didn't have McCaffrey, it was pretty impressive. Like, that's when he was the fantasy kind of like piece for them. So maybe we see a bit of that tonight, but I don't know. Like, I'm pretty surprised the Rams are, I know it's come down to 2.5 now, but I would take it at the 3. I might even take it at the money line because, we talked about this before we jumped on, Dusty, but Rams to make the playoffs right now, +145. And if they're going to make the playoffs, they got to have this one tonight. They had 3 divisional games down the stretch. This one, Cardinals and the Seahawks to wrap it up.
Yeah, they get all of them, right?
They're going to win that division. Yeah. They got to start with tonight. So I might even play the Rams, and I might just sprinkle the money line +131. So, yeah, it's one of those ones where you saw what a powerful team the Rams could be last week against a Bills team who has been one of the best in the league all season. They scored with them all game. And then you look at the 49ers. I think you talked about this, Dusty, either yesterday or maybe on one of the other shows. But, prior to that win over the Bears last week, the Niners got killed by the Bills, 35-10, killed by Green Bay, 38-10, and they lost to Seattle in a 20-17 tight game. Like, they lost 3 in a row. They beat a Bears team by a lot, but I don't know if I'm crediting them with that win as like, wow, they crushed the Bears, or if it's more just, the Bears are just, their season's pretty much over.
I mean, they both played the Bills in the last 2 weeks. Right. And one team got absolutely destroyed and the other one beat them. So now, different situation here with the Niners now, but I don't know, man. I mean, maybe it's kind of fishy. Huss, what are you thinking for the side here?
I think I'm in on the Rams. I've been I've kind of thought that they've been a sneaky team all year if they can get the receivers back and get healthy. And then I mean, and listen, recency bias is always a thing, but seeing the way that they operated, putting up 44 on the Bills last week, I think they really are ready to make a push. And listen, I mean, I know the Niners are still technically in it, but we were just going through the odds. I mean, they're a distant fourth to win the division. They're a very, very unlikely team to make the playoffs. And to me, this is the game for the Rams to and listen, they just kind of pick up where they left off, both in their last game against the Niners and their last game out last week. So I to be honest, I think I'll make a smaller play just on the money line. We can take it to 3. The 3.5 is minus 143. That might be something to put in on a parlay.
I was just gonna say that's a parlayable number for sure.
Like if we're thinking about putting a couple props in with the Rams at plus 3.5, because there's some pretty interesting props here right now. We can kind of get into that. In particular, the receiving yards. And when you think about what Kupp and particularly Puka did last week, not surprising those numbers are high. Puka Nacua is at 89.5 for the over. Cooper Kupp 63.5. And then the other big number that I think I probably will like and get on the over is George Kittle at 59.5. I mean, if you look back at last week's game against the Bears, Deebo Samuel caught 2 balls. They gave 2 to Garendo out of the backfield. Other than that, it was Kittle and Jennings. And what's important to note, Kittle caught every single target his way. 6 targets, 6 catches for 151. And Jennings caught 8 of 7 balls thrown his way for 90. I heard Mayo talking this week. He's really high on the first half receptions for Juwan Jennings. I don't know if I'm going to split it down into halves, but both of those guys are interesting. The Jennings number is 69.5 receiving. So you can see that the targets really are Kittle. To me, Kittle is such a key part of that offense, especially with the guys that they have out. I think going with Kittle to get 60 plus is sort of my favorite one if we're looking for a prop.
Huss, would you let me just throw this Kittle thing quickly, and then Jake, I'll shut up.
Yeah, no worries.
What's the number on the 60? Like, where is it?
Minus 110.
Okay, because you can get Kittle over 4.5 catches at minus 106. And I was just looking at his game log, and I mean, his last 3 games, 82, 7, and then 151. Targeted 6 times, caught all 6 twice in his last 3 games. Against Green Bay, he did it as well. And you just laid out that he did it against Chicago as well. So it's a slightly better number if you just like the catches instead. I'm good either way. I mean, I'm with you on Kittle. I just thought I'd point that out.
Interesting. Jake, I don't know. Do you have a lean? Would you rather over 4.5 catches at minus 106 or the 60 yards at minus 110?
Yeah, I don't mind either. I thought the catches number would have been actually 5.5.
Me too. That's why I was surprised.
That's kind of where I think I'd lean, because when I saw 4.5, I was kind of on it with Dusty, and you're getting a slightly better number at 106 than 110. Looks like he didn't end up playing the last time around against the Rams, so I was hoping to see if we could get a little edge there, but unfortunately, it looks like he might have been injured at that point. Yeah, I think I lean on the catches, though, Dusty, like you were saying. The one thing I was going to say, though, and this is kind of goes to what we were saying about Deebo, he's, in terms of yards, the number 3 guy in terms of receiving yards on the San Francisco 49ers. We got Juwan Jennings over-under at 69.5, Kittle at 59.5, and he's down at 51.5. Like, where has it all go wrong? Where did it all go wrong for Deebo, man? I don't know. I think, actually, here's a number I don't mind. Deebo rushing yards over 15.5. Now, I know we don't trust him a lot. I wouldn't put this in the parlay, but this might be something I play on my own. I think Deebo, with Garendo being banged up and the other 2 running backs out, the other way you get him the ball is to give it to him in the backfield and let him find a crease. I think he could get this on 2 rushes. So I might be playing that separately. Debo over 15.5 rush yards tonight.
Man, I'm just sitting here in the Spite League tonight. I've had Debo on the bench. I'm on Twitter right now. And he put out that tweet that said he's not struggling. He's just not getting the ball. George Kittle just said, watch for Debo to absolutely go off tonight. I mean, Jacob, we talked about, do I start Debo over Malik Neighbors against the Ravens with Tommy DeVito?
Spite start in the Spite League? Like, is it could be one of those nights where we're sitting here tomorrow like, oh my God.
What a night. Yeah, like, is Debo still capable of rushing for 80 yards, catching 70 and 2 touchdowns? You know what I mean? Like, if they decide to feed him, and maybe we do get a high scoring game. I don't know. This is going to be the toughest.
Totals 48.5.
If I start Debo over Amari Cooper and Malik Neighbors, and Neighbors gets like 12 catches because Tommy DeVito doesn't know how to throw the ball to anybody else, I'm going to lose my mind. I don't know what to do. I don't know how I go to a guy who I haven't started since like week 5.
Yeah, I think your safe play is still Neighbors, Dusty, but it's just a matter of like, is this finally? The thing is, we've been waiting for this and it hasn't happened to this point. So it's I'm a sucker for a guy who complains in the media or social media, whatever it is. Like, I'm a sucker when it comes to that. But even this one is hard to like stomach, especially now that it's playoff time, right? Like, I don't know.
I've got the same thing. Like, do I put Debo in for a playoff game ahead of either James Conner, Jahmyr Gibbs, Chuba Hubbard, Khalil Shakir, or Jordan Addison?
I mean, I wouldn't do it with maybe the exception of Shakir, but no, I don't think I could either. Like, I don't think I could do that. I like those running backs, and Addison's been
incredible.
So, yeah, I don't know, man.
Shakir had that monster game last week. They're playing Detroit. I mean, there's going to be fireworks in that game. Oh God, Debo's going to go off today, guys. This is
so. Should we go Debo?
Rush yards,
let's do it. Let's put his rush yards in this parlay. I do. I think so. You made a good point.
He had 5 carries yesterday.
Last game, he did.
Okay.
So let's go Kittle over on the catches, Debo over on the yards, and then on the rushing yards. And then what do we want to do? Rams +3 in this situation?
It's such a weird spot.
It's a weird thing to do.
Yeah. Friends and the Rams +3.5. I don't hate it.
Yeah.
Like, with it not having a ton of crossover, you'll get a nice number and a nice boost. Like, because not a lot of correlation there in terms of what the San Fran guys do to the Rams spread. Like, so the number will be pretty nice. Is that the way we want to go, or do we want to kind of keep this with players? Do we take the Rams out and look to like maybe a Rams prop? Like, do you like anything?
You take like Cooper Kupp over 5.5 or something. It's -152 or something like that.
Cooper Kupp
7.5. My goodness,
I know. +17.
Is Cooper Kupp not 5.5? I think Cooper Kupp's 5.5.
Yeah, Cooper Kupp's 5.5 to -152. Let me just put this in here and let's see what we've got. And then we've got receiving yards for Kittle. Or we're doing yards or catches?
Catches, I think,
for
right?
Kittle. Yeah.
Okay. Excuse me. We'll take that one out. We want player receptions. George Kittle over 4.5. And then rushing yards, Deebo Samuel, 15.5. If we put those together, Cooper Kupp over 5.5, Kittle over 4.5, Deebo 16+ rushing yards. It's +510 before we.
I like it.
Before a boost.
I like it. You want to lock that in, Jake?
Yeah, I'll lock it in. I'm just gonna put it in here so I know what to send over to our guys.
Also, Jake, I'll text this to you too, but EST parlay for tonight. Oilers win. McDavid over 1.5 points. And I'm going back to Nuge with a point. Yeah, that was actually pretty easy, number 2.
Yeah, now that we've got the parlay locked in, we got a few minutes here. I got a few things to cover if you guys don't mind. I did fire up a couple combo cards for tonight. There will be more to come, but bring them back for the community after you guys cashed the other night. Oilers, Jets both to win. Left the Leafs out of it. They were a pretty big favorite, and They haven't been playing great hockey lately, so I don't really trust it. Plus 242 from 211 boosted in the combo cards. And then, Dusty, you weren't on for this, but we do have the Lock Shot Bowl combo card. Lions to win the NFC, Chiefs to win the AFC, both to go to the Super Bowl. And that is plus 678 boosted from plus 590 in the combo cards. So a couple there to look out for, including the EST. You guys got the Road Dogs on the early bird this week.
Yep.
You got the Random Wheel as well. They're both up in the combo cards. And Ev Dog texted me last night, and he said, hey, I threw these up for tonight's Oilers wild game. This one's McDavid for Hart. McDavid to record more points than Kaprizov tonight, or Kaprizov for Hart, which I'm sure not a lot of people will love, but Kaprizov to record more points than McDavid tonight. So a couple things there. I will have some more exclusives to throw up. Patty is traveling today for another NLL weekend. I'll throw up some more combos as well. Let me jump to the promotions quick. The Den has been all over this, but I don't know if you guys have been following our Christmas calendar we have up right now. So every day it's a new deal. I think Monday night was like a Bet Builder booster, but tonight, or all day, I guess, 100% deposit bonus up to $50 right now. The
awesome.
deposit code is 24XMAS, XMAS 12. So if you go over to the Christmas calendar and the promotions, you'll see there's a new offer every day. This is a pretty good offer. I mean, 100% deposit bonus up to $50. There's probably some turnover. Let me just double check on that.
Oh, that's cool. I like this
bonus.
setup.
Yeah. So minimum deposit's $10. Maximum bonus is $50. So you deposit 50, you get 50. That's $100 for tonight. Plays you into the weekend. So yeah, something to look forward to. And it's going to run until Christmas Eve. So we got another 12 days here of the Christmas calendar. Obviously, best on bets Boston for the NHL. Ton of NHL games tonight. I know you didn't get to chat about that, Dusty, but 13 games. We didn't end up putting together a parlay for that, but maybe something we can talk about in the group chat. And then, of course, our Gridiron Grind campaign with, bowl season coming up. It runs for both NFL and college football. Bet 30 on one of those, and you get a $15 free bet. I think Huss was mentioning he used his $15 free bet on the big NHL day you guys had on Tuesday.
Yeah, the Huss Rod Z bonus, the bonus bet. Took the partner parlay, added Philly. It was awesome. It was plus 1430. The $15 free bet paid $230.
Christmas calendar is a very cool thing to check out. So click on promotions over at coolbet.com. Jake will get that ESC parlay up a little bit later on as well, and I'll send you a play of the day.
I don't know if you guys want to make this a partner parlay and co-sign on it, or just a ride with Huss. But Avalanche money line, home to Utah. Tampa money line at Calgary, and the Boston Bruins, after being embarrassed and humiliated by the Winnipeg Jets 8-1 on Tuesday, they get it back in Seattle against the Kraken, minus 118, plus 372 before a boost. And I also don't mind Pittsburgh at minus 112. You want to do those four together, you're basically getting it to 8-1. But I think for just for the boosted parlay, how do we feel about Colorado, Tampa, and Boston?
Yeah, listen, Huss, I'm fine getting it up for you. I don't know if I can co-sign anything with the Boston Bruins money line on it, but
I'd never say no to you, Huss. I never say no.
I can throw it up as a lock shop, no problem.
Okay, we're going back to back here. We're going back to back.
Hey, when you're hot, Huss. Like, time to stay hot.
All right, that's going to do it for the Lock Shop today. Winnipeg Sports Talk starting right away over on the WST channel. And two guys and a goalie, a Wanik and a Gager from the studio at Edmonton Sports Talk. I'm going to go drink 9 liters of honey, and I will be back tomorrow morning on the Nielsen Show, ready to go. It should be a lot of fun. Good
luck not talking to your family the rest of the day.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, kids. Daddy can't talk.
We're a sign language family.
Thank you very much for joining us in the Lock Shop today. Best of luck tonight, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.